Estamos de volta com o Papo Supren e hoje nós temos a satisfação de ter conosco o Amit Goswami, que é uma pessoa muito conhecida no mundo todo. Ele é um Ph.D. em Física Quântica, é um conferencista internacional, tem muitos livros escritos, um deles, aliás, vários deles publicados no Brasil, inclusive a Física da Alma, que é um dos mais vendidos. E hoje ele está aqui conosco para falar sobre o seu trabalho, inclusive sobre o trabalho de ativismo quântico, que ele foi o fundador, que é um movimento internacional, mas aqui no Brasil está muito forte. Inclusive existe um site web, né, que chama o www.ativismoquântico.com.br. Amit, could you tell us about the quantum activism that you started, this movement? What is it all about?
I would love to talk about quantum activism. Quantum physics has been with us for almost 100 years. And yet, scientists, and following the scientists, even the social scientists and humanitarians, politicians, economists, they all still follow, I shouldn't say they all, most of them follow, a worldview that is based on Newtonian physics, call it scientific materialism. Matter is everything, world is determined, there is no creativity, there is no virtues, there is no meaning, there is no purpose to human life. It's a terrible worldview.
This worldview dominates science.
This worldview not only dominates science because of deconstructionist philosophers who think that they have deconstructed with the help of this science all the ancient philosophies, spiritual philosophies that posit a different worldview, namely that there is also spirit, there is also virtues. So we stand in a very peculiar place of history where our entire educational system, our entire political system, healing system, economic system is based on a very incomplete view of reality, because Newtonian physics itself doesn't work for physics, what works is quantum physics. And yes, the message of quantum physics is very clear. Objects are possibilities for consciousness to choose from.
Yes, in the past, philosophy, religion, and science were all together. And after Newton, Descartes, and other scientists, it became separate.
Not immediately. Good fortune of humanity was that initially there was a truth. Yeah. The truth is sometimes called Cartesian truth. Descartes did it, which is that Descartes said, well, mind, matter, both are valid realms of human experience, and therefore mind and matter both are validated. So matter is domain of science, mind is the domain of creative, humanitarians, religion, and all that.
And now quantum physics is bridging
quantum physics is
the two sides, bringing back science and religion and philosophy.
Absolutely, and without dualism too. They are not dual things anymore. They're all engulfed in a monistic base of reality, monistic ground of being that we call consciousness.
Yeah. It's interesting that in spite of all the evidence that quantum physics is bringing, there is a reluctance of the scientists to adopt this new worldview. Is this part of the culture they live in?
Well, it's to be expected. People set up a certain vested interest for almost 60 years. Scientific materialism has been in place, and it has a history of combating religious traditions on top of it. So the two make scientists kind of hostile to any kind of integration of something that they have already rejected very actively. So this resistance is to be expected. Partly it is vested interest, partly it is that they really genuinely feel that if we talk about integration, on the back door, some of the religious prejudices that they have eliminated, such as the idea of God as a bearded guy doling out justice to human beings when they die, this kind of simplistic notion. They're very afraid of those notions, or notion of creationism.
So the quantum activism movement is not only for scientists, for the whole society. You want to put this message across to educators, to students, to lawmakers, to all sorts of people in the society.
Absolutely. In 1999, I went to a conference with Dalai Lama, among with 29 other scientists. And Dalai Lama's big challenge to us was that, okay, you were all talking about new paradigm, but what does the new paradigm have to contribute to society, to social systems?
Yes.
So I became very intrigued. Initially, I didn't know how to do it, but over the years, I now have been able to develop a science of experience, which includes everything that a human being experiences, including virtues. So virtues are back. Consciousness is back in our paradigm of science. So indeed, we can talk about economics, we can talk about justice, we can talk about politics, we can talk about health and healing, education, everything. That is the case.
You talked about education. How this quantum physics worldview, what does it change in education? How can it change the educational system we have now that's very inappropriate for education, our children, education?
Fundamentally, it can change, it has to change it fundamentally, because right now, educational system, which began in the 18th century as a liberal education system, designed to liberate us from dogmas. What has happened is that science has become a dogma in the form of this philosophy called scientific materialism, which says matter is everything. So most academic organizations are teaching this dogma. Of course, this is not popular knowledge. People don't realize that they are getting a dogma, but that's what has happened. So there's religious dogma on one side, there's scientific dogma on the other side. Quantum physics can truly liberate us from both dogmas by integrating them.
What's the essential message that quantum physics brings to us, to society? How this makes this bridge to happen, and what's the main idea behind it?
Quantum physics says that, first of all, objects are possibilities. Second of all, objects are more than material objects. There's also mental objects of meaning, vital objects of feeling, and even objects of intuition, where our values come from. So by including the values, meaning, and feeling as objects of our experience, we have once again generalized our whole arena in which society applies, including everything, including meaning, including purposiveness of life. So, and we also recognize that with quantum physics we have possibilities to explore. So things are not determined anymore. Because things are not determined, creativity can be applied. So the two things we have to do in schools and colleges is to recognize that meaning and purpose are important component of life. We are here to really achieve a purpose. And we are here to explore meaning and values. And second of all, the way to explore meaning and values is creativity. What we know already is already been done. That's the what existed before.
So we lack creativity in the schools and
we very much lack
universities as well. And how can we change the system so that we promote creativity?
Basically, by doing Newtonian physics, we have brought about a situation in which everybody has become very do-oriented and not even focused doing. Is doing, but haphazardly, without any direction, because people have been taught that there is no meaning, there is no purpose of life. So people just do very fast lifestyle, but without knowing what they're doing. This situation is absolutely counter to what creativity demands. Creativity requires a relaxed lifestyle. Creative process consists of not only preparation, which consists of doing, but also what creativity scientists say, unconscious processing, just being, relaxation. Quantum physics supports this. Quantum physics shows why that is. And therefore, if we accept a quantum worldview, people can slow down, and that slowing down, which was the basic component of the spiritual lifestyle of the olden days, when slow down is combined with directed doing, focused doing, we get creativity.
Then you have a balance between doing and reflecting.
Yes.
And so meditation is part of it as well.
That's so if this is part of education, then we instill in the students the desire to explore meaning and values, and also teach them how to do it.
Even how to meditate.
How to, and that involve how to meditate, absolutely, because meditation is the key to slowing down. Meditation is not a religious system. This is the wrong thing that scientists and politicians have taught us and eliminated meditation from public schools. It's totally wrong. Meditation, when you take out the religious paraphernalia, all meditative systems achieve a fundamental fact, which is that we slow down if we meditate. That is the fact. Anybody who has meditated knows that after meditation, thoughts slow down.
And then you are much more effective in what you do after you have this
You become
pause.
creative, because between thoughts, there is nothing in our unconscious. So in those moments, quantum possibilities can proliferate. They spread. They are wave-like. So waves spread like water waves. When you throw a pebble in the pond, water waves spread. Similarly, waves of possibilities spread in between our thinking, becoming bigger and bigger pools of possibility to choose from. That's when we get the new possibilities to choose. That's when we become creative.
And people start seeing that their life can be much more meaningful if they open to more possibilities, to new opportunities, and to creativity as well.
Even conflicts could be resolved in this way. So if we adopted the quantum lifestyle, if we adopted that the fact that science, there is a science of experience, we can include all experiences, not just the sensory material experiences, and we have a way of accessing these domains of experience better with creativity. Basically, we have renovated our education system, and that's what we need to do. I mean, the new leadership is going to come from the students of today. We got to do it.
Bom, nós estamos aqui com Amit Goswami e nós vamos dar pequeno intervalo e voltamos daqui a pouco. Esteja conosco.
TV Supren, para uma nova consciência, uma nova televisão.
Estamos de novo aqui com o nosso programa Papo Supren. Estamos entrevistando o físico quântico Amit Goswami, que tem um trabalho internacional de peso. Inclusive ele foi das estrelas daquele filme Quem Somos Nós, que fez muito sucesso aqui no Brasil e no mundo todo. E now I would like to ask you, you know that here in our organization, União Planetária, we are developing a project we call Pedagogy of the Virtues. And we were talking about this before, and I would like you to hear your view about how this kind of pedagogy can bring about a change in society and also a change in our teachers and our students.
Well, that I think is basically clear as soon as you recognize that the virtues are the basis of civilization. Virtues like love, beauty, justice, truth, self, abundance, goodness. These are the basic things of which civilization is built, right? Without ethics, without the idea of goodness, without the idea of love, we don't call ourselves civilized.
So they are common to all religions, to all civilizations throughout the world, and along all the ages. These values are always present, right? And they don't belong to any social movement or any religion. They are something that belong to the human society.
Yes, it does. And the problem arises is that when modern science came along, then biologists, to a certain extent correctly, codified what is natural to us, what are our instincts. And then they discovered that we have instincts which could be called very negative. We do have the instinct of taking over domination of others. We do have instincts of competitiveness. We do have other negative emotion etched in our brain as circuits, like envy, jealousy. So this is the problem. So the sociobiologists, they're called, they theorized that this is our nature. And because this is our nature, more and more the conviction grew that virtues don't exist. But in actuality, virtues, of course, are part of our experience, because not only we experience material matter as our sensory experience tells us, but also we experience the mind as thinking and meaning, and we experience feeling. And most of all, we have a very subtle experience called intuition, and we intuit these virtues. Although we don't have, so far in our evolution, brain circuits as part of the evolution. We don't have that yet, but that's our future.
So we must stimulate the intuition.
We have to stimulate our intuition to get it back within our science.
Because we have lost the faith in intuition. Our society,
right,
our educational system said intuition doesn't exist. It's something, it's just creation of
because science
of the mind.
of matter tells us that only sensory experiences are real. The other experiences don't matter because they cannot fit in our science. Yes. It's a very, very wrong conclusion and based on very incomplete evidence. So quantum physics allows us to make a science of all of our experiences. Psychology, of course, already are divided, very divided. The sensory materialist psychologists and psychologists who value virtues. But we now can do it even with regular, rigorous science, quantum science.
And through science now, we can promote this questioning and the virtues and this worldview that includes everything, includes this vision of unity, this vision of complementarity between nations and people.
Yeah, the basic concept is that quantum objects, possibility objects, and these quantum objects not only are sensory material objects, but also objects of meaning that we think, objects of vital energy that we feel, and also objects of intuition, or virtues that we value.
So the objects are not something outside of us, no.
This is not something outside of us. This is for consciousness to choose from. The very first thing quantum physics said, when it was discovered in 1925-26, immediately it was recognized that there are two domains of reality, just as spiritual traditions tell us, just as psychologists have been telling us for at least 100 years, unconscious and conscious. Spiritual traditions say transcendent and immanent. In quantum physics, we say potentia, domain of potentiality, possibility, and domain of actuality, manifestation.
Actually, the potentiality that one has depends on his faith, on his own potentiality. If he thinks that he's able to do it, then there's a larger possibility of being able to do what he wishes.
That's it. Whereas the scientific materialism has been teaching us for 50 years now that we don't have creativity. We are determined creatures, we are zombies, moving around, doing haphazard things for our pleasure and trying to avoid pain. That's all we are. Therefore, there is no meaning, there is no virtue, there is no purpose. Quantum physics is showing, no, stop. This is too premature. That's not right. Because we can do a science including all of our experience, especially experiences of meaning and virtues.
And I know that you have been working a lot with health. And what's the relationship between this vision of quantum physics and health?
The same kind of thing. In health, what has happened, because we emphasize only the matter, material aspects of our being, so everything is physical body. Now you have to understand, physical body is built in a reductionistic way, which means that elementary particles make atoms, make molecules, make cells, and cells make the body. So this is only for the physical. Because physical is reductionistic, so we have devised a very reductionistic biology and very reductionistic medicine systems, where all the physical ailments that we experience, their healing is also very reductionistic, namely cut, burn, or drug. Those are the three methods. There is no other method. Body is chemistry and therefore apply drug. Body is also physics, so you can cut and burn, but nothing else you can do with the body. The new science tells us very differently because it allows feelings, so a vital body comes in. It allows meaning, mental body comes in. So it's a healing much more general, holistic. So this is the new thing. Healing originally came from the Greek word corresponding to wholeness. So we are getting back to healing as achieving wholeness.
And for instance, depression is one of the sickness that is most popularly seen in society and is increasing very fast now. Have more and more people feeling depressed, feeling bad about life. And this is a question of not being able to see things as they are, or having a very strict and narrow-minded view, very negative also, which results mainly from the propaganda, the kind of media that we have, and the bad news and so on that we get.
Partially it is a lack of satisfaction in life because we have eliminated meaning and virtue. Therefore, we have eliminated satisfaction from life. If the life is not in the pursuit of something, some purpose, when the purpose disappears, we cannot be happy with anything. We don't have any direction to move. And this is what typically is happening with a society that is divided between scientific materialism, which is what we tend to believe because science is telling us, and religion, which some of us continue to believe, but nobody believes enough to actually becoming virtuous. So what has happened as a result, we are torn between two sets of values, religious values and scientific values, one based on a very difficult philosophy to swallow, too simplistic religion, and the other dogma, but in disguise, and because the dogma is in disguise, we don't even recognize. With our children that go to school, they love picking up a dogma we don't even recognize. If you ask a Brazilian on the street, will the Brazilian say that, yes, our children actually is learning dogma again? No, they would not even recognize. And this is the surreptitious way that scientific materialism has fully corrupted our society.
So now we have a means to bridge spirituality and science. So people can not have faith in whatever they believe, but they can have even scientific evidence of the basic principles that are behind all the life phenomena.
You are absolutely right. We don't need old-fashioned faith anymore because we can verify everything that we say with scientific data. Science was based on two aspects. One is theory, the other is experimental data. And because we can verify, even the idea that you and I are connected with consciousness, this idea is called non-locality in quantum physics. Even that idea has been verified by 24 experiments, direct experiments, no debate. So we have established the basic rudiments of the new science already. The main problem right now, of course, is that there is plenty of opposition coming from Western interest of the old guards, and we have to overcome that. This is why I decided to become a quantum activist. And I have a lot of supporters in Brazil, thanks to the very open mind of Brazilians. I appreciate that very much. You have a website, by the way, yes. www.ativistaquântico.
Ativismo quântico, né?
Activismoquântico.com.br.
www.ativismoquântico.com.br.
And so, if you want to know more about quantum activism, please look at this website.
Então, realmente, nós temos aqui no Brasil já movimento muito ativo. We have here a very active movement in this regard. It's very nice to know that we can move together and work together in this direction. This is
and we shall.
Be very nice. Well, then we thank you very much for being here with us, and we hope we can carry on this partnership and this working together so that we can put across a new mentality, promote the virtues, and promote this worldview that's so important for us.
I'd look forward to it, Eduardo. Great.
Okay. Thank you very much. Então nós encerramos aqui mais esse Papo Supren, que nós tivemos entrevistando Amit Goswami, esse físico quântico tão conhecido, que está trazendo uma revolução, não só no pensamento científico, mas no pensamento de nossa sociedade. Então, eu convido a todos a visitarem esse site, né, o www.ativismoquântico.com.br, para se interarem mais sobre esse trabalho e participarem também desse movimento. Até a próxima.